In the history of mathematics, it was demonstrated that many unsolvable equations emerged in the attempt to conform quantities into solutions for the discovery of unknowns in self-consistent proportional systems. Irrational numbers, the square root of -1, quintics, and M and D brane theory generated countless investigations for the reconciliation of logical representation of unknowns to conformal systems in such a way that computational powers produced by known roots would be accurate, meaningful, and functional. The process of dimension surplus inner space addition allowed simultaneous solutions of Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometries and eventually algebras and more. The reconciliation of inconsistent arguments such as the sum of the interior angles of an equilateral triangle adding up to 180 degrees in the former and a greater number in the latter could each be true with the difference located in an inner geometric dimensional renormalization field. I employed the method in my own logic in order to relate known facts, or at least apparently known facts, to the unknown. I descended the magtide toward the energy field. Platforms crackling with immense energy confined generally to the Einsteinium electrons were bound as an electride matrix under cold plasma. The possible locations of Lush raced through my thoughts like permutations and probabilities of monadic qualities in a high degree of configurations and relationships. She left this compression so quickly. Reaching the observation deck over the electride field, I saw the horizons painted artificially to resemble infinite perspectives through the arrangements of receding and concentrating channels of energy matrices. Green and royalsome, the distance was surreal in all directions and undetermined. I saw inward and outward through the weather systems clashing through spontaneous chasms of normal world beyond the library to the field of green energy within forming the core of the structure. Rotating 180 degrees on the deck, the perspective changed suddenly with an anti-symmetrical symmetry breaking of vision. This was my first clue to what had happened to Lush. This portion of the galaxy is trisected by a standing wave of gravity and relativity field effects, making a 720-degree spin vector of the four normal dimensions. It is an open door to abnormal space-time, and it had intruded here. Lush and I had talked before of the access potential of spin matrices to extra copies of this universe formed as probability actualization of macrostructural formalities. It was only a theory. Macro-quantum rotational symmetry breaking may have left the 180-degree trace in the space-time coordinate of a transformational spin matrix to open dimensions and universes. Even now, the residual spin superposition of dimensions was beginning to fade away to leave just a local normal four-dimensional appearance of space-time and its variously 11-dimensional or 230-dimensional neo structure of nominal compressors. Might this universe have tangents so on through its hypo-loop extrusions placed by a higher intelligence? As space-time concentrates with speed of travel near light speed, anisotropic Li in a symmetry with Heisenberg uncertainty principle of indeterminacy of knowledge of either energy and time or location and momentum, could the universe have a memory in some way of where each discrete particle in relational loop was, in order to sustain the invariance of uniform application of physical laws? Uncertainty in the quantum world seems consistent with fundamental phenomenalities of being and non-being, and of existence and interval. In higher, more complex aggregations of matter and energy, indeterminacy fades away as the complexity of the bound state of quantum particles and mass comprises a formation for itself too complex for superpositioning of simpler structures of the quantum world, such as loops. Perhaps quantum uncertainty is merely an appearance itself that is a consequence of an unawareness or gap in knowledge of what fills the intervals or how the underlying force is non-present in such intervals. If quantum superpositioning effects fade out as mass becomes concentrated and complex, and it is certainly a marvel that any complex structures can exist at all and overcome the superpositioning of quantum uncertainty, is it a consequence of conscious perception and memory collapsing the waveform of the universe, or is the large-scale space-time alteration in general relativity a symmetrical clue to spin matrix transformations of galactic-sized chunks of space-time into superpositioning with spare universes? I believe I may need to discover if this universe has memories or feelings about Lush of a recent kind.